Dear God, I thank you for this time. I thank you for every person in this room. I pray you'd calm us down. I pray that you would help us to listen. I pray you'd speak through me. I pray that we would all learn something new. And God, we love you so much. And I pray, amen. So we are starting a new series today. How many of you guys are have you seen the movie Rogue One? Okay. How many of you guys like the movie? Okay. Well, listen up. So, if you have not seen the movie, which, to be honest, when we started this series, Taylor told me that we're doing a Star Wars series, and he's like, Alexis, you're going to be starting it, and I was like, oh no, that means I have to talk about Star Wars, and he's like, yep, and I was like, well, I'm the last person that should be talking about Star Wars. So, if I get any of my facts wrong, just pretend, just nod, and be like, oh yeah, good job, Alexis, all right, because this is a big deal, all right? So if you've never seen the movie, like me, I have a trailer for you guys to watch, so check it out. All right, well, can you guys guess what the name of our series is called? It's called Rogue Ones, with an S at the end. So, in this movie, the whole Rebel Alliance told those two people, hey, guys, be quiet. The whole Rebel Alliance told those people that they weren't supposed to go steal the what? The Death Star plans. But what did they do? They did it anyways. And they successfully got the plans, right? And it saved the Rebel Alliance, but then everyone else died, right? So, in this movie, we see these characters who went rogue. Does anybody know what going rogue means? Yes. Okay, what else? Yes, so going rogue means that you're doing your own thing. It means that you're going against what everyone else is doing. And that's what these characters in the movie did, and that's what the characters in our whole series are going to be doing. We're going to be looking at a bunch of characters in the Bible that went rogue, that did things that no one else was doing, okay? And I think, and this is one of the things I want you guys to understand, is that all of us as Christians, if we are a Christian and have accepted Christ into our life, we are called to live differently. The Bible tells us to live set apart, which means that we're supposed to be different than everybody else. So that's my first fill in the blank, is that I think us as Christians, we're supposed to go rogue. All of us as Christians are supposed to go rogue. And today we're going to look at a dude in the Bible who went rogue, and he's pretty awesome, and he is going to be found in the book of Genesis. So if you have your Bible, turn to Genesis chapter 6. And we're going to be looking at a guy who went rogue, and it was pretty awesome. So, Genesis chapter 6 is the first book in your Bible, so it's easy to find. If you still can't find it, ask for help from your neighbor. Genesis chapter 6, and we're going to be starting in verse 9. If you have your Bible or your phone Bible, Genesis chapter 6, verse 9. I'm going to be reading quite a little bit, so I will explain it. Don't feel like you're lost, because I will make sure that we're all on the same page. So here we go. Genesis chapter 6, verse 9, it says, this is the account of who? Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man. If you have a pen or a pencil, underline the word righteous in your Bible. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on the earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all the people of the earth is filled with. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make for yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it, coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Make a roof for it, leaving below the roof an opening 1 cubit high all around. Put a door on the side of the ark and make lower and middle and upper decks. So we see that God came to Noah, and Noah is the only righteous man on the earth. And righteous means that basically he was walking with God. He was doing everything the right way. He was following all the attributes of God. He was blameless. It says he is blameless in the sight of God, meaning he was not messed up like everybody else on the earth. And so God comes to Noah and he says, all right, you're the only legit dude on the earth, okay? So I'm going to save you, but the whole rest of the earth is so violent and so messed up that I'm going to wipe out the whole earth, all the people on it, all of the earth, and we're just going to start over. So God tells Noah he needs to build a what? A boat. And he wants it to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Does anybody know how big that is? It's huge. So if you don't know what a cubit is, hold up your arm like this. A cubit is the length from your elbow to your fingers, okay? So it's going to be different for everybody, all right? So however long Noah's arm was back then is how long that was. I actually have a picture of the boat. Some people in the Netherlands actually decided to build a replica of the boat, and that's what they think it would have looked like. So imagine that, Noah having to build that giant ark, and God says, I want you to build it this big by himself. And then we're going to pick up in verse 17. It says, I'm going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens. Every creature that has breath and life in it. Everything on earth will die. I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you, your sons, and your wife, and your sons' wives. You are to bring onto the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, and every kind of creature that moves on the ground will come to be kept alive with you. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten, to store it for food for you and for the animals. And then in verse 22, it says, Noah did what? Exactly. Everything, or exactly just as God had commanded him. So we see Noah. God comes to Noah and he says, I'm going to flood the earth. I'm going to destroy it. I want you to build this giant boat, and it's going to save the human race. And he says, I want you to bring all these animals on the boat, okay? Crazy, right? All these animals, I want you to bring them on the boat. All the birds, all the insects, all the bugs, all the reptiles, everything, I want you to bring it onto the boat. And then he says, I want you to bring all this food onto the boat as well. And then your family, because I'm going to send floodwaters to flood the whole earth. And Noah, did he do a little bit of what God said? No. He did everything, right? Noah was obedient to God, even under a bunch of different circumstances that we're going to look at today. Noah went rogue when it came to his obedience. He was doing things that no one else was doing by being obedient to God. And so today we're going to talk about 3 things that we can do to be just like Noah when it comes to our obedience. And the first thing that I want you guys to understand is that we can be obedient even when we don't understand. We can be obedient even when we don't understand. And you know what? I bet you Noah did not understand. Back then, they had never seen rain before, okay? So imagine that. You've never seen rain before. We just saw rain like an hour ago, so we know exactly what that is. And if you didn't, surprise, that's rain. But Noah had never seen rain in his life, okay? Never once before had he seen rain. And they didn't have boats back then. They never built boats. They never had seen a boat before. And so God says, I want you to build a boat, which, 1, he doesn't know what that is, and that's crazy. And 2, I'm going to flood the earth. Water is going to fall from the sky, and I'm going to flood the entire earth. And you're going to be safe on this contraption that you built. But does it say that Noah questioned God, or he told God that was a stupid plan? No, it says that Noah did everything God asked. Noah obeyed God even though he probably didn't understand his plan. And guys, we're going to be asked to do things by God that we're not going to understand. He tells us to do so many things in the Bible that probably don't make sense to us. He tells us that we're supposed to love our enemies. What? That's crazy, right? Why should I love the people that are mean to me, or the people that hate me, or the people that hurt me? Why should I love those people? We don't understand that sometimes, but God asks us to do that. God tells us to respect our parents or the adults in our life, or the authority above us. God asks us to respect those people. And sometimes we're like, why should I respect those people? They've done nothing for me. Or all they do is hurt me. But the Bible tells us we're supposed to respect them. God tells us that we're to be honest all the time. That doesn't always make sense because sometimes it's easier to tell a lie. Or sometimes it's easier to manipulate the truth. But God says you need to be honest all the time. He even asks us to be different. He tells us, like I talked about at the beginning, to be set apart. We're supposed to be different than everyone else. And sometimes, guys, we're not going to understand why God is asking us to do things. But Noah was obedient even though he didn't understand the plan. But instead he trusted God even though his plan was crazy. And sometimes God's going to do the same to us, and we need to be obedient even if we don't understand his plan for our life. And the second thing that Noah did, and I feel like this is a really big one, is that we need to be obedient even when we are fearful. Even when we're fearful. And you know what, guys? The Bible doesn't say that Noah was afraid, but I bet you Noah was terrified. Because think about that. God says water is going to fall from the sky. It's going to flood the earth. It's going to destroy all the people and everything that's living. Noah's lived there his whole life. I bet you he knew tons of people that were now going to die. People he knew and he loved. He didn't know how long he was going to be on the boat. That's got to be scary. He had to bring all these animals on, these scary animals, onto the boat, and they just all had to live together. He had to take his whole family, a huge risk with his family. I bet you Noah was terrified by these things. But Noah didn't let his fear stand in the way of him being obedient to God. And he feared God more than he feared the circumstances. And there's a verse in Proverbs 3, it's on your note sheet if you want to look at it later. It's Proverbs 3:5, and it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understandings." It says, trust in God with all your heart and don't lean on your own feelings or your ideas or the things that you think or your ways. But it says to lean on God and to trust in him with all your heart. Because, guys, God's going to ask us to do things that are scary and that seem frightening and we don't want to do, but we still need to be obedient. I know one thing that scares me is the Bible tells us that we're supposed to tithe 10% of what we have. And that's a lot of money, especially when you have to pay for so many things. Once you guys get older and you have jobs and you have families and stuff, you're going to have to pay for a lot of things. And I have to pay for a lot of stuff. And every time when I sit down to do my bills every month and my husband and I write down how much money we have to take out for our tithing, it's scary. It scares me. I'm like, well, what if we take this money out and then we don't have enough for gas? Or what if we take this out and then we don't have enough for food or for the bills that we have to pay or for our puppy? What if we don't have enough money for all of this stuff? But God says you need to trust me. We need to trust the Lord with all our heart, even when we're fearful of things he asks us to do. And maybe for you guys, some things that might be fearful is standing up for what you believe in. I know it's scary at school. There's a lot of people that don't believe in the same things that you believe in. And the thought of standing up and having to testify to your faith, I'm sure that's terrifying. Or maybe telling someone about Jesus, that could be scary. I know that scares me to tell people about Jesus. Or even the fact of being different and not always fitting in. Because we like to fit in. We like to feel like everyone likes us. And the fact that we have to be different, I know, is scary sometimes. But God says, I want you to be obedient even if you're scared. And you know what? Noah was probably terrified, but he trusted God because he knew that God was going to save him. He knew that God was going to rescue him. And if we know and we trust God that he's going to save us and rescue us, I think we're going to have a much easier time doing things in obedience instead of being fearful. And so just like Noah, we need to be obedient even if we're fearful. And then the third one, this I think is the hardest one, guys, is that we need to be obedient even when no one else is. And do you guys know how long Noah was building his boat for? He was building his boat for 120 years. Okay? 120 years. Isn't that crazy? He's an old dude. He lived till he was like 600 or 700, so he was pretty young there. But 120 years he built this boat, and no one came to help him. No one came to join his plan. No one came to be part of what he was doing. I'm sure his sons helped. But Noah was all alone, and I bet you, the Bible doesn't say this, but I bet you people made fun of Noah. I bet you people told him, you're crazy. What the heck are you doing? Why would you build a boat? Or water's going to fall from the sky and flood the whole earth? Like, you're a lunatic. But Noah didn't let that stop him. Noah was obedient even though he was the only person doing that. And guys, there's a passage in John 15. I would encourage you guys to look at it later on your own time. But in John 15, it talks about Jesus saying that the people on the earth are going to hate you. It says, Jesus said, they hated me, so they're going to hate you. They persecuted me, they're going to persecute you. Because when we live our lives for Jesus, people aren't going to like that. People are going to see that we're different and that we're doing different things, and they're not going to like that, and they're not going to agree with that. But we're supposed to be obedient even when no one else is. And this past Tuesday in our 7th grade girls mid-group, we talked about protecting our eyes and the things that we watch. And guys, sometimes there's shows that come on or things that you watch online or websites that we look at that we know we're not supposed to, but everyone else is doing it, so why shouldn't I? And so we look at those things. Or maybe it's something you listen to. Maybe there's a song that came out that you know you shouldn't listen to, but everyone else is, so why shouldn't I? So you just listen to it. Or maybe everyone's gossiping about someone at school or a teacher or a family member, and you think, oh, well, everyone else is doing it, so I might as well do it too. Or maybe they're picking on someone at school, and everyone's picking on this person, and you know you shouldn't, but everyone else is doing it, so why don't you do it? And you know, girls, that we're supposed to dress modest. The Bible tells us to dress modest, but everyone at school wears whatever they want and dresses however they want, so why shouldn't I? Why should I be the one that's different? And everyone cusses at school, and you know you're not supposed to cuss, but everyone does it, so why would I be the lame person to not do it? And guys, this is exactly what God's talking about, is he's saying that you have to be obedient even when you're the only person. And I can guarantee you, if it hasn't happened already, you're going to have to do things that you're the only one doing it. And Noah, for 120 years, was the only person doing the right thing. And that was probably so lonely. It was probably so difficult. But he was still obedient. So we need to be those people that stop gossiping and don't join in, that stand up for those people that no one else is, that chooses not to cuss when everyone else is, that chooses to be modest when everyone is wearing whatever they want, chooses not to watch all the shows that people are watching or listen to the things that people listen to. We have to be different, and it's going to be hard, but God says that he will reward us for being different and for being set apart. And guys, maybe you're wondering, okay, why should I go rogue? Why should I go rogue when it comes to obedience? Why should I even do this? It sounds more difficult than it is rewarding. But guys, one day God is going to come, and he's going to come back, and he's going to reward us for our hard work. And one day God is going to come. God has already died on the cross for us, and he's going to conquer death for us, and he's going to bring us to heaven, and we're going to be rewarded one day. And God says you just need to be obedient here on earth. And Noah got to be used for a huge plan by God. He got to be used in a huge way, that if he would have just done his own thing and not been obedient, God would have moved on. And Noah wouldn't have been able to be used for his plan. And guys, going rogue and being obedient is going to be easy here at church, right? And if you live in a Christian home where that's expected of you, it's going to be easy there. But where it's really shown is at school, around the people who don't believe what you believe, and around the people who are going to think you're different. Or maybe even it is your home where things are different. But that's where going rogue is going to be shown and is going to be tested. And so guys, my challenge for you, I want you to listen close to my challenge. My challenge is that you can either change God's plan for your life, or you can be changed by the plan God has for your life. Because you know what? God was going to flood the earth no matter what, right? He was going to bring the floodwaters. He was going to get rid of everyone on the earth no matter what. But he said, Noah, I want you to be part of my plan. And Noah did everything as God had asked him to do. Noah did everything he asked. And Noah got to be used by God and got to be used for his plan. And guys, we can either choose to do our own thing and not care about God's plan and not be obedient, or we can let God's plan for our life change us. And we can be obedient. So guys, I challenge you guys to be rogue in your obedience for God, to be different than everyone else when it comes to being obedient. And I promise that one day God's going to reward us for all of this. Will you guys pray with me? Hey God, I thank you for this time again. I thank you for all the students in here. I pray that you would teach us what it means to be rogue, God, for you. Teach us what it means to be obedient, and I pray you'd give us the courage to do so, even when we're the only ones, God. I pray you'd give us the courage to be vulnerable and the courage to love you, even though everyone thinks that we are different, God. And I thank you for giving us life. In your name I pray. Amen.